These diagrams, drawn by Ernst Haeckel, are used in high school biology to demonstrate similarity of embryos across species. But in 1995, these pictures were shown to be inaccurate due to Haeckel's use of artistic license. Yet, we are still using his pictures 14 years later. We went to Mike Archer, a professor in the School of Biology, Earth and Environmental Sciences at the University of New South Wales to find out why.
They were very influential on an awful lot of people,
Yep.
and still have visual power to make people realize the integrity of living forms and how there's a pattern.
Yep.
But they're often today misrepresented in terms of the way we should be using them.
So how do you think we should be using them?
Well, I think they're often presented as a notion that somehow if you watch the development of a human, for example, you see the embryo go through stages that look somewhat, first of all, like a ball of little cells, and then it looks a bit like a fish, and then it looks a bit like some slightly higher organism. And when this was originally presented, there was a sort of an intimation that in our own development, our ontogenetic development, our embryological development, we actually go through being these various kinds of organisms, and then when the right one clicks in, bang, out we come. In helping to understand the unity of life, and i.e. that there's a common base for life, I think they're useful, as long as they're presented that way. Let's look at the embryological development of all these different animals and note how basically similar it is. Okay. There's a common ground plan in all the different kinds of vertebrate organisms.
Well, should students have a look at the pictures that they've now taken rather than the diagrams?
Of course they should. I mean, I detest diagrams in many ways.
Yeah.
It goes back to lots of personal experiences about how diagrams in textbooks can often severely mislead you. Yeah. I had a cat once, I don't anymore, and in the cat's kitty litter and its poo, I saw these strange little white things going ee, and I didn't know what it was, and I rang a vet, and the vet said, "Oh, that's a tapeworm," and I said, "No, it isn't." And he said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, I know what a tapeworm looks like. I've seen it in a biology textbook. They're little white squares, and they're all stacked up end to end." And he just laughed. And it made the point to me then, and continues to remind me that students need to learn as much from the real thing and from actual representations of what it looks like, rather than from an interpreted diagram.
Yeah.
So I read this article, Fraud Rediscovered, and it's opened my eyes about evolution, because I didn't think it was that. I always thought that it was that simple, that all the embryos just looked alike, but apparently it's not.
Yeah, being taught it is probably not the best idea, because it doesn't give us a kind of realistic approach to evolution. It's more of what they want us to see, the fact that there are similarities.
The academics say there's a justifiable reason to use Haeckel's diagrams. Do you think that's good enough? Have your say and comment below.